Hello and welcome to Yin Yoga with Kahlia. I feel like it's been a little while and I hope that you all had a wonderful holiday season. I kind of always like to think of January as new beginnings and time to help ourselves create some new healthy habits. So thank you so much for joining me for Yin Yoga. If you haven't done Yin Yoga before, if you're new to yoga in general, there are a lot of health benefits to doing a regular yoga practice, or even just jumping on the mat when you can. It probably number one is stress relief, and I know a lot of us are feeling a lot of that right now. If you're anything like me, stress relief is one of the number one things that yoga is really, really great at helping with, especially yin yoga, because it is a slower practice. And as I said, if you're not familiar with yin, yin is different from other types of yoga in that where you might picture a vinyasa or a flow type yoga where we're moving in and out of poses fairly quickly, moving from one pose to another, and typically each movement is associated with a breath. So in yin yoga, it's different in that we are holding poses longer. So we're going to be taking a lot of breaths in one pose. So typically each pose is held for between 3 to 5 minutes, and that's may seem like a long time if you're new to the practice. Sometimes stillness is difficult for a lot of people. So I encourage you to just come back to your breath. And we're going to get started with that. We're going to get started on just breathing, taking some long, slow inhales and long, slow exhales. And whenever you feel yourself maybe um, falling out of step, falling out of a pose, you're uncomfortable in a pose, please, please, please feel free to readjust. Yin yoga is a great practice to use a lot of props with. If you need any props, I'm in my office today. I think I've seen you at my home before, so I don't have any props with me today. But if you want to grab some blankets, some pillows, I've even used couch cushions in the past. All of those are really great at helping us to get comfortable in the position or pose that we're doing. So yin is very accessible to all levels of yoga. Especially with the modifications. And while unfortunately I won't really be able to show you too many because I don't have the props, but I can kind of demonstrate, if we did, where we might put a pillow or where we might put a bolster or things like that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And if you have a mat, that's wonderful. If you don't have a mat, feel free to grab a blanket, a beach towel, anything that's comfortable. And you're welcome to leave socks on, socks off. Again, we're not doing too much standing poses. Standing poses are typically the main ones where we're wanting to have our socks off so that we're not slipping. And that's, of course, why yoga mats are made for kind of non-slip purposes. So if you're on a blanket or a towel or something like that, just use caution so that we don't have any slips or anything. If anything is ever hurting or pinching or pulling, that is our bodies telling us that we have taken it too far. Yin is a lot of stretching, so we're going to be stretching a lot. And you'll find that the longer we're in a pose, gravity is going to help us with that stretching process. But if at any point that becomes painful, because it should feel like a nice deep stretch. Almost like a needed stretch, like something that your body needs, like when you wake up in the morning and you maybe lift your arms above your head and do that kind of early morning stretch. It feels like something our body needs. But if we're feeling pinching or pulling or hurting, I want you to back out of that pose. We can come into a modification. You can always take child's pose if you feel like you've lost your breath, if you feel like you just need to reconnect, if you feel like you need a couple minutes or a couple breaths. And I'll show you that now, how to get into child's pose. So what we do is we basically, not quite kneel, but kind of sit on the top of our feet, our bottom on our feet, spread our knees a little bit so that our bottoms come more onto the mat and our knees are about hips distance width apart. And then you're just gonna walk your hands forward as far as you can and then rest your forehead, if you can, on your mat. And that's child's pose. And usually taking a couple breaths there will help us to get centered or recentered, bring us back into our practice. You know, sometimes, especially when we're holding these poses for longer, we can get kind of lost in our thoughts, which is kind of the opposite of what we should be doing in Yin Yoga, or what I shouldn't say what we should be doing, what Yin Yoga is trying to teach us, which is a type of meditation where we're focusing on our breath, we're listening to our bodies, but we're not so much listening to those thoughts inside of our head that are causing us stress and anxiety, right? So we're kind of just letting those thoughts come and go. So let them come. Of course, we can't stop our thoughts from coming. Let those thoughts come, but then let them go just as quickly. And you will find the more that you practice that, the easier that it is. Not that it's ever easy, but it does get easier. So we're going to start in an easy cross-leg position of your choice. I'm just in a cross-leg position. If you know Lotus and you know how to get into Lotus, which is taking one leg over the other and then kind of crisscrossing the other leg over so that we have both of our feet on top, kind of coming into a little with, when I teach kids yoga, we call it our pretzel pose. So coming into kind of a pretzel pose, if you're comfortable with that, you're more than welcome to take Lotus as well. So we're just going to start here. I invite you to either bring your hands to heart center. We can have our hands in our knees. Just either close your eyes or gently gaze down towards your mat. And we're just going to start by taking some long, slow inhales and then long, slow exhales. So closing our eyes or gazing down towards our mat, we're going to take a nice deep inhale in. And then slowly let it out. Do that again. And slowly exhaling. We'll do that a couple more times. Go ahead and just go at your own pace, taking nice deep inhales. Long, slow exhales out. We'll do one more. And exhale. So bringing our hands to heart center, I just want to take a moment before we get started. Just to invite you to set an intention for your practice today. And I would like to share my intention with you. And my intention is healing. So my intention goes out there for all of those right now that are struggling with the healing process. And that can mean so many things, so many different things to so many people. But if you are someone touched by something that you are struggling to heal from, if you know someone that is touched by struggling to heal, then just maybe keep that as an intention in your mind throughout our practice today. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our first pose. So if you're in Lotus, go ahead and uncross your legs and come back into that just cross-leg position. So we're not a pretzel anymore, we're just in cross-leg position. So we're going to start by sitting up nice and straight and tall. We're going to take a nice deep inhale in, rolling our shoulders up to our ears and then back down our spines, feeling our spines come nice and straight and tall, almost envisioning an imaginary string, just pulling our spines up to the ceiling. And then we're going to sweep our arms up, inhaling, looking up towards our arms. If you want to interlace your fingers and kind of turn our hands upwards, like that early morning stretch I talked about. Maybe take a dip to one side and a dip to the other. Remembering to breathe. Nice deep inhale here. And then on our exhale, we're gonna fold forward. So we're gonna come straight in front of us. And if we come right to here to our forearms and that feels good for us today, that's perfectly fine. You can walk your arms further. You can walk your arms so they're straight out in front. You can stack your hands in front of you and rest your forehead on your hands. Whatever's within your practice today is perfectly fine. And I'm going to back this up just a little bit so that you can kind of see me a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and once again, inhale and stretch those arms way up, looking up at the sky, and then exhaling, forward fold. And I'm going to stack my hands and rest my forehead on my hands. And keep in mind that we're going to be here for a couple minutes. So make sure that you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, now would be a good time to maybe grab a pillow so that you can maybe stack the pillow and then your hands on top of the pillow so that we don't have so far to go down if that's uncomfortable for you or if you feel like that's too much of a stretch today. If you feel like it's not enough of a stretch, feel free to go ahead and just like in child's pose, reach those arms way out in front of us, and we can even rest our head on the floor, our mat, or a pillow, or a blanket, whatever we have handy. Okay, so we're gonna start. We'll start a couple minutes here, and just remember to take slow, steady inhales. I'm not gonna count, but just kind of go at your own pace. Long, slow inhales until you feel like you can't inhale anymore. And then a very, very long and slow exhale. Try to make our exhales longer than our inhales if you can. All right. Everyone doing all right? We're taking long, slow inhales. Long, slow exhales. We're about halfway through this pose. Couple more, nice deep inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And we'll do one more nice deep inhale here. On our exhale, we're going to slowly start to lift ourselves up. Be careful getting up. If you're dizzy at all, try to stay still for a moment before we move into our next pose. So we're going to stay seated. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with our right leg, and we're going to reach that right leg out to pretty much diagonally. So if you're on a yoga mat, my right leg is pretty much in line with the corner of the yoga mat over here. And then we want our left foot to be pretty much at our inner right thigh. So we're in kind of a half wide leg split. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to reach up and then fold over. Instead of folding forward, we're going to be folding forward, but instead of folding center, we're going to turn our bodies a little bit and fold over our extended leg. So the beginning starts the same. So we're going to start sitting up nice and straight and tall. Nice deep inhale, looking up to the sky. And exhale, we're gonna turn and lean over that leg. Now this is where some pillows or blankets or props may help because you might want something to kind of rest your elbows on. So if you come to your shin and wanna rest here and you're comfortable here, that's perfectly fine. If you wanna reach for your ankle and hold this pose, that's perfectly fine. And if you have some blankets or towels to roll and rest your elbows on, that's probably even better. If you want a little bit deeper of a stretch, you can kind of wrap your hands around your foot, maybe even interlacing your fingers, and then dropping your head. So whatever feels right for you today, we're gonna hold that for a couple minutes. So when you're ready, we're gonna take a nice deep inhale, looking up. Turn and exhale, forward fold. So we're gonna stay here breathing for a couple moments. Nice deep inhales. Long, slow exhales. Okay, we'll take about 3 more inhales here. One last deep inhale. And on our exhale, we're gonna slowly walk ourselves back up. And then we're just gonna switch legs. So we're gonna slowly bring that right leg in, bringing our left leg out diagonally, situate our right foot to our inner right thigh. Take a moment to get our bottoms situated on our mat, sitting up nice and straight and tall, maybe taking a moment to roll those shoulders up to our ears and then back down our spine. We're gonna take a nice deep inhale up, reaching towards the sky. And then turning and exhaling over that extended left leg. And you might find that you're either a lot more or less flexible on one side or another. I know this is definitely my less flexible side. So adjust as needed. If you need to wrap up some towels, roll up some towels and rest your elbows on that. If you wanna drape a blanket out over your leg and even rest your head on it like a pillow, whatever makes you feel comfortable in this pose, okay? So we'll be here for just a couple minutes and we'll start by taking a nice deep inhale here and then really sinking into our pose. About 3 more breaths. Nice deep inhale here. Nice deep inhale. And exhale, we're gonna slowly walk ourselves back up. All right, so to balance everything out and to even out our body and our stretching, we're going to extend both legs so that we're into wide leg straddle fold. and then we are going to fold forward. Now this one can be a challenging one. It's challenging for me as well. I know I can't go too far in the folding over department. So grab as many blankets and pillows and towels as you need to kind of prop up in front of you. And feel free to stack your hands and even just rest your face on those. Even if you have a couch cushion or something like that, that you can set in the middle, and then stack some maybe blankets on top so that it's maybe like this high. That's usually okay for most people, and then you can try to rest your head on that one way or another. Okay, so we're gonna start the same way by sitting up nice and straight and tall. We're gonna inhale, reaching our arms up. And then exhale, we're gonna slowly forward fold. And do this slowly because this can be a challenging one. So if you just come to your forearms and stay here, that's perfectly fine. If you wanna gradually, as we hold this pose, kind of walk your arms out a little bit, you'll find that gravity does help you do that as well. So we'll go ahead and get started in taking some nice deep inhales, long, slow exhales. Just make sure you're comfortable in this pose and adjust as needed. You want to kind of walk your arms over from one side to another, especially if one side is particularly tight. You're more than welcome to do so if that's within your practice today. Nice deep inhale here. Slowly and carefully bringing ourselves back up, being careful, making sure we're not dizzy or anything like that. We're gonna bring our legs together and just kind of shake them out. So that's a lot of leg stretching. Just kind of shake them out. If you wanna kind of forward fold with both legs for a couple breaths. All right, so now we're coming into one of my favorite poses. So we're gonna come into a reclining position. So I typically give people a couple options in terms of foot position. So I'll show you those same ones that I typically do. So we're gonna be reclining back. So you'll wanna kind of scoot to the one edge of your mat so that you have room to lay back. And this is also where a couch cushion or a thick blanket or two, or a nice big maybe handy, because we're going to be reclining back onto our backs, And I found that if you do have a bolster or cushion or pillow, it helps a lot to kind of lie back on that. So, so if you have one, that's great. If not, we're going to do the best that we can. So our first position is fish, and that's when our feet are straight out in front with our toes pointed, and then we would simply recline from here back into fish pose. More modified fish pose, because true fish pose is when you're kind of on the top of your head, and we're not going to do that. We're just going to walk ourselves down so that we're reclined as far as we can. Now, if this is as far as we can recline, this is perfectly fine. Just make sure, whatever position you're in, that your neck is in alignment. So if you're in fish pose like this, try not to let your head tilt back like that, because that's going to place a lot of strain on your neck. So the kind of rule of thumb is that wherever your gaze is at, we want our neck straight towards that gaze. Okay, so that's the first one, is fish pose. The second one is Baddha Konasana. So that's where we bring our legs in, we have the soles of our feet together, and we kind of spread them open a little bit, kind of like the pages of a book. This brings us to Baddha Konasana. And then reclining Baddha Konasana is the same thing. So we're just reclining with our legs in this pose. So full reclining would bring us to here. And we can place our hand on our heart or a hand on our belly, both hands on our belly, or just at our sides, whichever is more comfortable. And then the last one, which is my favorite, is reclining heroes pose. So to get into reclining heroes, it's similar to child's pose starting off with. In this one, we're not going to distance our knees at all. We want to stay more in kind of a kneeling position, which is hero's pose. This is pretty much hero's pose. And then reclining hero's pose is we're just reclining from here. And you may have to adjust a little bit. You may have to widen your feet apart a little bit. We want to try to keep our knees together if this is the pose that we're choosing. They tend to splay a little bit, which is okay, but we're just going to try to keep them together if we can. And so then we come into reclining heroes. So you're more than welcome to choose whichever one you like. We'll stay here for a few moments, so we're going to really practice some long, slow inhales and some slow, steady exhales. So we'll go ahead and get started. Nice deep inhale here. And exhale. If you do have one hand to heart and one hand to belly, you can definitely feel your breath. So sometimes it's a good idea to do that to kind of help us connect with our breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Just keep going with that rhythm, or your own rhythm. We're about halfway through here. Nice deep inhale in. 2 more. Nice deep inhale here. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more inhale. And on our exhale, we're going to slowly start to bring ourselves up and out of our pose. So go slow. Again, be mindful of our bodies. Be careful that we're not getting dizzy. If you were in reclining heroes, you might want to keep going forward and come into child pose for a moment. Before coming back up to seated. And we can go ahead and stretch our legs out again. Whatever pose that we were in, we'll go ahead and shake out our legs a little bit. And then we have just a couple lying poses that we're going to do before we end our class with Shavasana. And I'd like to read to you guys a guided meditation while you're in Shavasana. So we're gonna recline again. So again, make room on your mat or blanket or towel, and we're gonna come into a fully reclined position. So make sure our shoulder blades are flat on our mat, our feet are straight out in front of us. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a nice deep inhale and bring our right leg into our chest and really kind of squeeze it into our chest. We might even wanna like rock back and forth a little bit just to kind of open up those hip flexors. Also a nice little massage for our lower back. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold on to the right leg with our left hand. Our right hand is gonna come out to the right side. And then our left hand comes to the outside of that right leg and then just gently helps it over. And it doesn't have to go over far, just to your point of comfort. And then we're gonna turn our heads, if we can, and gaze over those right fingertips. And we'll take just a couple breaths here. Just getting a nice spinal twist. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more inhale here. And exhale, coming back to center. We're gonna give that right leg one last hug. Maybe do some ankle circles. That's been our practice today. And then we're gonna let that right leg fall back out in front of us. So then we're gonna inhale once more. Bringing our left leg in, bending our knee, rocking back and forth a little bit, opening up those hip flexors, massaging our lower backs a little bit. And then we're gonna do the same thing on this side. So hold on to that left leg with your right hand. Left arm comes out to the side, forming kind of a half T type position. We're gonna take our right hand to the outside of our left leg. And remember, we don't ever wanna press on our joint. So take it just below the knee and then help it over to that right side. And once you're at a point of comfort here, you can turn your head to look over those left fingertips. And we'll take a couple breaths here. Ready? Nice deep inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more inhale here. And exhale, we'll come back to center. We'll hug that left leg in. We'll bring the right leg with it, wrapping our arms around our legs. If we can, bring opposite hands to opposite elbows and really give our legs a hug. And then just kind of rock back and forth. Again, giving our spines a little bit of a massage. And then we can rock ourselves back up to sitting. So it is about time for Shavasana. I am going to read to you guys a guided meditation. All right, so to get into Shavasana, we're going to come back into a reclining position. So lying all the way down, we want to have our hands at our sides. Our feet can be splayed out to the side. And either our eyes are closed or gazing down, preferably closed. And I'd like you all to just focus on breathing, but also focus on my words as I read to you a guided meditation. So guided meditations are great for those of us that have a little bit of trouble clearing our mind, or doing a true meditation where we're really just breathing and we have trouble kind of with that stillness. Okay, so when you're ready, again, keep your eyes closed and just listening to my words and trying to imagine my words as I read them. Make yourself nice and comfortable. Hopefully you already are. Feel your body becoming still and calm. And just for now, begin to feel your breathing. Feel your breath gently coming in through your nose and feel your breath gently coming out. Take a nice deep breath in once again. And as you gently breathe out, feel and imagine your body becoming more calm. And just for now, I want you to imagine yourself on a beautiful beach. It is a warm and sunny day. Imagine yourself looking up at the bright blue sky, and you can see 3 seagulls flying in the sky, chirping and calling out your name. You feel a gentle breeze tickling your face, and the soft golden sand beneath your feet is calm and relaxing. You see yourself now beginning to walk along the sands of the beach. You look out at the blue waters of the ocean and you feel very lucky to be in such a special place where all is calm and all is peaceful. As you walk along the golden sand, you see something shining on the sand in front of you. As you get closer, you see it as a silver-colored shell on the sand. You pick up the shell and hold it in your hands. As you look at this silver shell, you see it has many other colors in it as well. Colors that are special to you, your favorite colors, and you feel very lucky to have found this special shell. You now hold the shell against your heart, and as you do so, you feel the beating of your heart connecting with the shell. You feel your shell filled now with a special kind of love from your heart, and you feel the shell sending love back to you. You realize how loved and special you are, always. As you hold your shell against your heart, feel and imagine yourself now drifting off into a calm and peaceful sleep. And for you know that you are safe and loved, your body is rested and calm, and you can drift into a calm and peaceful sleep. Now, just as we're all drifting into our calm and peaceful sleep, I'm going to ask everyone to start to wake up. So if we're still lying in Shavasana, if we can start to wiggle our fingers and wiggle our toes a little bit, maybe doing some wrist circles and ankle circles, just bringing some life back into our bodies. I'll ask you to meet me once more when you're ready in just an easy seated position of your choice on our mats. And either closing our eyes or just gently looking down towards our mats, I'm going to ask that you bring your hands to heart center. And I just want to truly and genuinely thank you all for joining me tonight for practice. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for getting on your mat or your blanket or your towel. And thank you for practicing with me. The light in me honors and respects the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you all again very soon. And I do hope that this practice helped you in some way. Bye-bye.